What is happening to me? Hi, my name is Peter Parker. You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget about me. Because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man.
Alright guys, what's good? Today we're here for the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. And this is a big one because this is the first Spider-Man film we've gotten from Tom Holland in like 4 years, since No Way Home. We haven't seen much from him. In fact, we've seen nothing since No Way Home. But this is the first look at Brand New Day. I've watched the trailer beforehand. I'm just gonna watch it over and go over some points. I made like 30 today. If you're wondering why the intro was so dramatic, I don't know, just viewer retention, I guess. I mean, I don't know how to really explain it apart from that. Just to get people engaged. Anyways, I'm not gonna waste your time no more, and let's get straight into the video. Alright, let's not waste any more time. Alright, let's go.
I can't believe our first hit MIT! MJ, come on, pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever been in your entire life.
I can't.
I knew it!
You can already tell from like the first shot we have here of the whole like city and stuff being extremely dark and smoky, and the whole color correction of the whole scene. It's very obvious that Peter's gonna go through his little depression and his little adjustment to life, and that honestly is such a good take for this film, especially from where we've been after. I feel like this is a good place to start off with, just to see how he's been doing in these last 4 years, and the trailer already kind of shows it through the way it's shot, which is actually really good if you think about it.
In your entire life.
I can't.
I knew it!
Alright, the first thing you can see right here is with when he pulls his mask down. Now, when he pulls the mask down, it's very natural. It looks incredibly good. And you can obviously tell that they've put a lot of consideration into making the suit look more physical and more real than rather the CGI look we've gotten in previous films. And I much prefer this because honestly, it's a much better take and a much better look for Peter to go ahead and have this new suit and this rebrand, because the last 3 films have gone from being heavily criticized to being heavily hated to being loved. It's a mix of two, but I hope this film can bring together every single person who has an opinion about Spider-Man and Tom Holland's version, and just kind of narrow it down to be like, hey, this Tom Holland, he's already peaked, he's already gotten to his level, but this is going to get him to a bigger level as we're restarting his character basically from scratch. Okay, in this part of the trailer, you automatically immediately see Peter being able to handle not being afraid of heights. Now look carefully when he's falling down. He falls backwards first of all, which is already a sign that he's not scared to go ahead and do what he's about to do. And if you guys remember in the Homecoming film when Peter was climbing up the Washington Monument, he was very much just scared and not prepared, as we were seeing a beginner Spider-Man. Even in other films like Far From Home and No Way Home, Peter was way over his head. It seems like this Peter Parker, or this version of Spider-Man, is going to be a lot more prepared and handled for what is going to come in this film, which is honestly something I prefer because, again, it's been 4 years. Like, MJ and Ned are completely finished with university. I want to see how they're going to get on with this film. Another key attention to detail is when he was falling, you can see ripples in his clothing, which obviously again adds to the more physical look rather than the whole CGI thing, which I prefer a bunch more because it makes the whole Spider-Man experience feel 10 times more real. We also get this nice shot of his eye inside the mask, and it's very nice on how he's breathing so calmly and how everything else is kind of zoned out, as you can only hear Peter's breathing, because this simply just shows us that, again, Peter is no longer afraid of the things he was before, such as heights or facing enemies or being a responsible superhero. He's more calm, he's grown as a character, he's grown as a person. And this is also a little reflection or a nod to Iron Man when he saved the whole of New York in Avengers, but you know, that's just a reference, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if it's an actual thing that was intentional. I think it's just something fans picked apart.
Hi, my name is Peter Parker.
I'm not sure if you can see that frame right there. I'm just going to make a quick one. Right here you can see there's a bit more of folds and creases, but this is a completely different note. Just letting people know, this is not the same note that was written in No Way Home. This is the first thing I picked up on, and I thought it was the same note and he kept it, but no, it's a completely different note, which means he's not fully ready to give up on MJ and Ned. And this might have been written right after they came back into New York. So we know they come back from university. I'm pretty sure where they go, MIT. Yeah, they went MIT University and they're coming back from it. So this might have been written very recently because it looks like a fresh piece of paper. You can see Peter's web shooters and they look a whole lot more bulkier, a whole lot more detailed, a whole lot more fresher, and a bit better to the new poor broke Peter Parker without the support of the Stark Industries or support of any role model in his life that is going to be able to give him money. It seems like whatever happened to his Stark versions that we saw in the end of No Way Home, it either broke or it just wasn't able to be repaired, and that's quite a shame. But you know, it's good because we get to see a fresh new Peter Parker despite from what we saw before.
You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it.
Okay, right here you can see two things I want to point out. The first one is Peter's face as soon as he sees Ned walking to the cafe. He looks almost happy but shocked to see him. It's like seeing a familiar face or getting a nice memory. That's what I'm assuming is happening in this scene, which tells me that this is probably going to be pretty early on in the film when Peter sees Ned for the first time. He's probably just got off doing his Spider-Man duties and he's just chilling in a cafe. What he was doing before, I'm pretty sure he was on the phone, but he was also looking at something, getting flowers. So I'm assuming that has something to do with the end scene, but we'll get into the end scene after that. Another thing I want to talk about right here is you can clearly see Peter's bruises on his legs as he's sitting next to the washing machine that looks worn and torn and a bit old. Again, it just shows how much Peter's been taken back to square one and has to basically change as a Spider-Man overall and as a superhero, and most importantly, as Peter Parker. I do hope that we get to see a bit more of his human side, because most of the time with these Spider-Man films, it's always focused on two subjects, and two subjects I'm not really always a fan of, but let's talk about them. First one is his love life. We've seen that happen in the 3 films where he's fighting for his love but also fighting for his freedom. In Homecoming, it was just him wanting to be a better superhero. In Far From Home, it was him wanting to go ahead and take a step back and focus more on Peter Parker. And then in the 3rd film, it was him trying to fix and make everything perfect. So it's almost like the first 3 films were really taken on balancing these characters out, balancing both sides of his life. First film, he wanted to be this big superhero, but then in Far From Home, he wanted more Peter Parker time. And in No Way Home, he realized that him trying to control both of those worlds never really worked, and he couldn't control it, which is when he had to start from ground zero. And in this film, I think he's taking his responsibilities as Spider-Man way too seriously, which is what probably would lead to his mutation.
Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it.
This is actually a pretty fun reference right here. This key to the city that Spider-Man has is actually a reference to a comic book panel from where J. Jonah Jameson gives it to him. I was really hoping we can see it, but I'm assuming this mayor right here who gives him the key to the city has something to do with Daredevil Season 2, and that's why J. Jonah Jameson is not the one to give it, but it's fine, man. At least we got the reference in the first place.
Was to make everyone forget about me. Because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man.
Okay, I'm immediately liking the amount of swing scenes they have in this whole film. You can really tell that they took a huge inspiration from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and probably the fans were just telling everyone, including Sony, that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has the best swing scenes, and Sony actually listened and they applied through, which I'm very happy about because it's not often we get to see these type of things. The one thing I want to say is I hope they properly nail the scenes, and I hope this isn't just like for some parts of the film. I hope this takes up most of the film, because yeah, we got good scenes in No Way Home and films before with Spider-Man, especially Tom Holland's version, but I really want to get a better look at all the type of swing scenes that we have, because honestly, in No Way Home, the swing scenes were kind of basic. They were rushed. You can tell they were heavily CGI'd. And here, it actually looks very real, and it not only looks real, but it looks believable, which is important because the whole point of going to watch these films, especially a Spider-Man film, is to kind of escape reality and look into the superhero character. And I think they've nailed the swing scenes. I just hope they can keep it up throughout the whole film and not just throughout these couple of scenes.
What the hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Quit your whimpering. Suit yourself. Mother.
Go home!
I'm actually kind of happy that Frank right here is able to actually be his whole self, because the Punisher is known for having vulgar language. And if they were actually going to get to a point where, you know, he couldn't be himself and he had to be heavily PG-13, I was going to get annoyed. But it seems like they are taking the right approach. And Spider-Man being the one to censor the Punisher and basically to stop him from cursing is one of the funniest things of all time. I hope it's not a running joke though, because it will get old pretty fast if he does this throughout the whole film. But I do hope that we get to see a bit more Frank being himself, rather than him just being this censored PG-13 character that no one really wants to see. But we can only hope for more.
Go home!
And sometimes Spider-Man has to do the hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart. What is happening to me?
One very obvious thing with these last couple of shots we just looked at is, again, we're gonna have to see Peter try and balance out being Spider-Man and being Peter Parker, but also adjusting to this new normal of no one knowing who he is. You gotta remember, Tom Holland, or I should say Peter Parker, his whole thing before was being this amazing superhero who was with the Avengers. Now he doesn't really have any of that. He's really just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from New York. And he's fine with that, but I think one of the biggest issues when it comes down to Peter being forgotten by everyone, including MJ and Ned, is you're gonna go ahead and see MJ interact with other people. And that's already very obvious because we see this character that we don't know going ahead and kissing MJ or touching her and flirting with her. And Peter does not look like he's handling it well, which may be the cause of where his depression's coming from and where his mutation is coming through. I think even the shot where we saw where he said, "What is happening to me?" that's the start of his mutation, and this could probably be what leads up to it. What leads up to it is Peter accepting that he is more Spider-Man than he is Peter Parker, and because he doesn't take care of his social life and his actual life as a human, he's seeing the superhero life as the only escape of freedom and excitement that he gets in his life. And that's not going to be good. And I think that's going to be the root cause of his mutation and the reason why his powers are getting so much more better.
To me.
Oh, God.
That's very interesting that they've gone with that plot. Now, a lot of people are saying that this could be Man Spider, although I'm not completely sold, because there are comics where he goes ahead and mutates and gets out of the web cocoon, but he doesn't turn into Man Spider. Although I'm not sure, but again, we'll dive into it a bit more.
Oh, God.
Excuse me, Dr. Banner. I need your help.
What did you say your name was? DNA.
Okay, all very interesting stuff right here. Now, the first thing we see that is most likely interesting is these statistics that you can see on the screen right now. You see that whatever this scan is that Bruce Banner is doing for Peter, or for Spider-Man, if he doesn't know that's actually Peter Parker under the mask, is he has abilities of superior strength, superior agility, and heightened senses and enhanced perception. Now, this is probably just based on what he had before and what is now increased, because you can see enhanced human detected. We obviously know that Bruce Banner is aware with what superpowers can do, and he probably built this machine just to go ahead and test out what Peter Parker, or Spider-Man's powers are, but I do believe that it's probably just something that Bruce had for himself when he went ahead and had his whole transformation. He wanted to see what he had in terms of increasing and in terms of decreasing. But we can see that everything here is boosted, and it doesn't look like, from what I can tell, that there's a single bad statistic here. The red around his chest is probably just where the thing is beginning to scan, but I don't believe it's anything else to do with that. Again, another interesting detail is the organic webbing. Now, this is quite a big jump because literally at the start of the trailer, we just saw him with regular web shooters, which means this transformation is something that is going to happen probably in the middle of the film rather than the start, because obviously they wouldn't go out of the way to make web shooters if they weren't going to use them for at least somewhat half of the film. This is very, very interesting and very, very much comic book accurate, and I guess that's exactly what fans were asking for and what fans wanted. It's very much what I wanted, but I didn't expect organic webs. That's a very, very cool detail, Sony, and I'm just proud, man. I want to see this film so bad.
Excuse me, Dr. Banner. I need your help.
What did you say your name was?
Okay, so we get a bit more detail about his senses. You can see that even the drop of a single bit of water is causing Peter to lose his mind because of the amount of sound that's coming out from it. And that amount of perception and sense is incredible. I'm not sure how Peter's going to take it in this film. Like I said, we're just going to have to wait and see to see what happens. This is a trailer breakdown after all, so we're only breaking down the trailer, not the entire film, because it's not released.
If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
Spiders.
Okay, before we get onto the anime scene, I'm surprised no one caught on to this, but Bruce Banner says if mute, oh, I can't remember, let me say it again.
If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
If DNA is mutated, that can be enormously dangerous. Now, does that outright confirm Man Spider? Yes and no. It could be leading up to Man Spider because, you know, he doesn't treat it like, as in this is just a boost of power, but he's saying this is a DNA mutation that is dangerous. And coming from the person who is the Hulk, that's very bad. I don't know why most people didn't caught on to this. I caught on to this immediately watching the trailer, but, you know, it's each their own, and we're gonna have to just see what happens in the film, but I'm still 50-50 on the Man Spider plot. I'm not incredibly convinced.
Spiders have 3.
You can see he's still suffering from May, and he wants to go ahead and like pay condolences, even though this happened years ago. I'm pretty sure it's 2028 in this year, right? Yeah, 2028.
Spiders have 3 life cycles.
Okay, this is a very interesting shot right here. This is Sadie Singh's character. You can just immediately tell by the hands, like easily, you can just tell this is probably Sadie Singh's character. And she's being kept in what looks like a glass container. And these look like air conditioning units, but they probably not. These almost look like they're pointing towards the cage, which I'm not exactly sure what they could be. Maybe it's just something to do with launching some kind of signal, although I'm not sure and can't confirm anything at this very moment. But you can immediately tell this is a teenager's room. You can see books, like tablets, speakers right here, and you can see a bed that's messy, a bunch of other stuff. But immediately what caught me was the boots, and I'm gonna try and find the photo. If I can pull it up, I'll pull it up right now. That Sadie Sink on set was wearing these pair of boots, so this is definitely Sadie Sink's character, and I'm 100% sure of it.
When between cycles, it can...
A lot of people didn't catch on to this, but this place right here looks like to be the exact same facility that this is kept in. It just looks very similar to the building style and the layout style of how it would be kept. So I'm assuming that whoever this is escaping from this building, it looks like, and Spider-Man's here to stop it, but we can just watch the trailer and figure that out for ourselves.
When between cycles, it can leave the spider vulnerable to threats.
We are faced with a danger that we can't control. One we can't even see.
Okay, so this is actually very interesting, and a lot of people were speculating this, and I wasn't a believer at first, but I'm 100% convinced now. I think this is Jean Grey. My light just gave out a grey. I am 100% convinced of the fact that this is Jean Grey simply just because of the fact of mind control abilities, and that is completely Jean Grey's abilities. The only person with mind control, I think, in Marvel, apart from Jean Grey, is Charles Xavier, and he's currently involved with the whole Doomsday and X-Men plot. So I don't think that Sony would bring them into this film because it just makes zero sense to do so. And Jean Grey being the actual villain, or not the villain, but one of the side antagonists or potentially the main antagonist of the film, is a lot more interesting, because to have a mutant right before the mutants are introduced into the MCU is very, very interesting, and I wouldn't have expected that from Marvel, but I'm 100% convinced. And considering the fact that this person right here just went ahead and said, we're dealing with a threat we can't even see, again, who else is that going to be but Jean Grey? And of course, this photo right here looks like a very short person who has a small body stature. Who is that going to be? My opinion, Sadie Sink. My opinion, Jean Grey. It just seems to make the most logical sense to me. You're going to have to mind me on my no red lighting. It's annoying that it gave out so quickly, but yeah.
Stay out of my way.
Alright, so we have Scorpion here, Matt Gergen. One of the things you notice is he says stay out of my way, instead of going ahead and like being cocky towards Spider-Man, which already makes me think he's working for someone rather than the main antagonist of the film. In fact, we don't really have a main antagonist yet, and we're already 2 minutes into the trailer, so I hope it gets revealed soon.
Of my way.
You're losing it, kid.
Alright, this is a very interesting shot. You can see right here that Spider-Man is not making any eye contact with MJ, and MJ looks more worried and concerned. Almost like she's had her life in danger and she's trying to thank her superhero protector who just managed to save her. I think the fact that there's lack of eye contact is maybe Peter trying to avoid looking at her because it hurts too much not to be with her.
And for those spiders who make it through,
comic book accurate shot, Amazing Spider-Man, Fantasy 15, very nice. I love that shot.
it amounts to a kind.
This is the Amazing Spider-Man, but with Boomerang. I'm not sure what the whole name of the comic is. I just know it's the Boomerang one. And right here we have the Tarantula, and of course this is from the the classic Tarantula issue that came out. You can even see the police officer in the back is doing the typical shot. I like how they remade all of the comic book shots just so they can say, you want comic book accurate? We'll give you comic book accurate. We'll give you exactly what you want. Oh, thank you, Sony. Okay, so you can see right here, when he opens his eyes, they're black, but also have a little bit of redness in them. And if you don't know, Man-Spider has this same eye look. He has the black eyes with a little bit of redness glare in them. Or this could be something else. Some people are saying Venom online, although I don't think that's entirely true, just because of the fact that Venom is something we're gonna have to see later on, because you can't have Peter mutating in one plot and also getting Venom in the same plot. They're two different plot stories. I think this is gonna come a lot later with Venom, and I don't think they're gonna introduce Venom in Secret Wars either. If they do, I feel like it'll be very rushed because Secret Wars is gonna have a lot of characters. I think this is either two things, either Peter turning into Man-Spider, or Peter just having his mutation affect him in ways that we just don't know yet. You can see that his organic webbing is so strong, it shatters a sword. Also, this is the hand that he's fighting, and the hand is typically known to fight Daredevil.
Rebirth.
All I'm gonna say for this shot is Spider-Man's up here, 1, 2, 3, they're looking up, and then these two are looking towards here. I've played these games before, guys. I think I'm just gonna let you imagine what that is and hope for the best. I know that this is probably got something to do with Daredevil. The hand is literally a Daredevil main antagonist. It's not even usually a Spider-Man antagonist, so it would make sense. Also, Charlie Cox has appeared before, especially in No Way Home. It's not unlikely that Spider-Man would go ahead and be fighting with Daredevil, but I can't confirm or deny anything. I'm just gonna go ahead and hope and pray for the best.
Nice flowers.
Oh, they're a housewarming gift.
I'm MJ.
I'm just a neighbor from across the hall.
Friendly neighbor.
I love that callback. Also,
MJ.
I'm just a neighbor from across the hall.
Friendly neighbor.
no wait. that's
Housewarming gift.
Look, why does Ned, this is what confuses me here, why does Ned look so confused and concerned? It's almost like he's trying to remember who this person is, who Peter Parker is, but he can't quite put his finger on it. MJ here looks completely like lost. Ned looks a bit more like, hold on, do I know exactly who you are, or do I not? You get what I'm trying to say? Alright, there's no red lighting again, so I'm going to try and wrap this up real quickly. If you guys like this video and want to see more stuff like this, more breakdowns of certain films or trailers, leave a like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell. And if you want to give any theories or any points that I may have missed out, please put it in the comment section below. And yeah, I'm going to go charge my light, edit this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Venom out.